guys, welcome back to another episode of the Day Six podcast. I'm your host today, and today we're going to be reviewing A Quiet Place Day One. I had opportunity to go watch this yesterday. I thought this movie got a lot of hype going into it being the prequel to the Quiet Place series that already have at least two films, that being, of course, A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part Two. The first two starring Emily Blunt, John Krasinski, who directed the first two movies and was behind the creative mind for this film. This film stars Lupita Nyong'o. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She was in Us, um, which is one of Jordan Peele's horror movies, and she was also in Black Panther. So she's been in a couple of different movies, and she was chosen to be the lead actress here for this project. And so I thought she did pretty well for the most part. Joseph Quinn also starred in it. You might know him from Stranger Things, but I haven't watched Stranger Things, so I'm not familiar too much with his work there. But I am familiar with Lupita and her work as an actress, and she is phenomenal. But yeah, so A Quiet Place Day One. Like I say, first time reactions. I was not impressed with this movie at all. I thought it was going to be much more than what we were given. I thought they were going to explain, because if you've seen the Quiet Place movies, then you know that these monsters hunt by sound. Hence the name of the movie, A Quiet Place. You can't, if you watch the first two movies, it's when it takes place when the invasion happened. We're about 400 something days in. The Abbott family is trying to survive. By they're one of few survivors left on Earth, and the only way you survive in this world, in this post-apocalyptic world, is you cannot make sound, because these creatures hunt by sound. They have ultrasonic hearing, and anytime you make a sound, they will come and kill whatever makes any noise. Um, and the first two movies was really dealing with the after effects of what happened, but what day one is supposed to center on is the first day that these creatures arrive on Earth, in New York City. I always wondered, why is New York City always the place where like all these alien attacks and stuff are happening? Like, it was in Avengers and lots of other movies where it's like they attack New York for whatever reason. I don't know why. New York, what did you do to piss off the aliens? But anyway, the question is, yeah, it's like, so the questions I had when I was watching this movie, for one, I'm like, even up until this point, was like, okay, where are these things from? Where are these creatures from? What is their motive? Why do they come down to Earth? Why are they here? How did they become blind, and why is their hearing enhanced so much? Those are questions I had, and this movie doesn't really answer them. I think the problem that this movie has is it's focusing too much on the emotional aspect of Lupita's character Sam, who has terminal cancer, and she um has this goal of like getting pizza from where her dad used to take her to get pizza, like in Harlem, and she's trying to make this journey over there. But the invasion happens with the monsters, and then she meets this guy who's Joseph Quinn's character, and they kind of roll on together. But we didn't really get much tension and monster action, maybe until like the 45 minutes into the movie, which in the first 45 minutes, it was just the emotional, sappy aspect, which was a good emotional story, but not what I was looking for in this movie. I was looking for, more tense drama from, as far as like the action with the horror, and, with the monsters, like, close up moments where they have to be really quiet, and or deaths from people who are making noises, right? We don't really get much of that until we're a little bit later in the movie. And even then, it is. I mean, it's not much. It's not. It's not any different from the first two movies, as far as like getting from point A to point B, and being quiet while doing so without making any noise, so you don't alert the monsters, right? I thought day one was going to give us some origin story as to how these monsters came about, why they came on Earth. It didn't really do that. It just focused on Sam and her, which was Lupita's character, and her and this slice of pizza. I'm like, okay, I get it's supposed to be like a corny, jokey kind of thing, and it's an important thing for this character for her to get. Um, and she also has a cat, which is like, everybody loves the cats, right? The animals in the movies, in these type of movies. And the cat does survive, if everybody was wondering. Um, but it just wasn't much. I mean, it just wasn't. It didn't. The storyline was not substantial to me. I was expecting much more from what they were hyping it up to be. I thought it was going to be. a little bit more exhilarating as far as how horror films can be. It wasn't that scary. I didn't get that sense of terror, that sense of that sense of suspense like you got in the first film, which was quiet in the first A Quiet Place, which was um, the woman, she was having a baby and she was in the bathtub having a child when the monster was literally like coming down the stairs, and she has to be quiet while she's having these contractions, and that's suspenseful because like you don't want her to die, but she's also having a child, and it's like that's so it was very suspenseful there, and it was like trying to you root that those type of scenes make you root for the main character. They make you root for them. um and in part two, it's still, it follows the Abbott family a little after that, and they're still trying to traverse through a little bit more close ups with the monsters and things like that. So I just the first two movies were definitely better than A Quiet Place Day One. I would have to say, I in this movie got a lot of hype, and I really believe it was more so for Lupita, and Joseph Quinn being in it, and I will say this: the PR team and the social media team for the Quiet Place movie, like for day one, did a great job marketing it because they got me excited to go and watch it, and like it just wasn't that good. I just wasn't impressed by it. I know a lot of people are saying it's really good and stuff on these mediums and these reviews and stuff, but personally, being a film reviewer myself, I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought it just the storyline just wasn't like I said, wasn't substantial enough, not enough action, not enough kills from the with the monsters. It just wasn't. We still haven't resolved the problem of or the question of where what is the story of these things. What is their purpose? Why are they here on Earth? Um, you know, so we don't even know what they are really. We just know that they're blind and they hunt sound. And then in the end, it's like the guy who was rolling around with Sam gets on the boat, and Sam tells him, "Hey, get on the boat, take my cat. I'm gonna go get this pizza because it's so important to me." It's like, okay, cool, but we kind of all figured that she would die anyway, and she was okay with that. She was dying anyway with her cancer, and so she figured, well, hey, it's either gonna be the cancer that kills me, or it's gonna be one of these monsters. So I might as well go out having this slice of pizza where my dad used to take me for the emotional pull, which we get, but at the same time, that shouldn't be the main focal point of the movie. And it just, I didn't like it. I thought it was going to be much better than what it was. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'd give it a Quiet Place Day One. I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. Um, 5 out of 10, maybe 5.5, being generous. It just wasn't that good. Jump scares were okay. I mean, to be honest, I don't remember some of them. It just wasn't scary enough for a Quiet Place movie. It wasn't intense enough for a Quiet Place movie. Now I'm a horror fan. Horror movies don't really scare me. But they're supposed to be. You should really, be intrigued and pulled in to the story and the characters that are involved in the story. Like if you look at movies like Insidious and Hereditary and horror movies, that is, The Black Phone, for instance, also is one. Megan, like these movies, they pull you in because of the events going on. Maybe they're not so much scary, but they're disturbing or things like that, which makes them horror films. So whether it be psychological horror films or things like that, this movie doesn't do that. The first two Quiet Place movies do that. This one doesn't. And so we've already gotten confirmation that this one is going to most likely going to get A Quiet Place Day One is going to get a sequel along with the first two movies, which are separate, because they take place after this happens. Um, so, you know, we'll see what happens there. There's that one's supposed to get a third part. John Krasinski, I'm sure, is going to be directing that one. But I did notice that he picked another director to direct this movie, um, and he wasn't really behind the camera per se. The guy who did direct it, his name, I don't remember it by heart. Just bear with me, guys. His name was give me one second. We're more prepared than this. I just know he was a different director. His name Michael Sarnowski, famous for directing Pig, from what I hear, and a few other movies like that. So he did If, he worked on that, The Death of Robin Hood, The Testimony. So those movies. Um, so John Krasinski picked him to write and direct this film, and I wasn't too pleased with that selection. I thought John should have been behind the camera because he he created this whole franchise, this whole idea. And he directed the first two movies, and he did a fantastic job doing so. So I thought maybe that could have something to do with it, but also just it wasn't that good. It's an unpopular opinion, I know. But sometimes movies get marketed and overhyped more than they actually should be. And this was one of those cases with A Quiet Place Day One. I'm not discouraging you from watching it. I would highly suggest you go and see it. If you're just one of those people that's like, well, I saw the first two, I got to see the other part, this part, so you can go watch it. But I thought this movie was, I give it a 5 out of 10. Um, Definitely not the best horror movie I saw, but it was solid. It was okay. Um, it could have been better. Storyline could have been better. Writing could have been better. The acting was decent. Like I said, Lupita Nyong'o, who she was in Us. Um, if you guys remember that movie, Us, she was the mom in Us, and she was also in Black Panther. So she's been in a couple of different things, and I thought she did a good job for what she was given, which was kind of a poor script by the directing team. But overall, A Quiet Place Day One is in theaters. You guys should go watch it. It's not, if you're a real horror fan, you're not gonna like it. But it's decent. So good way to kick off your Fourth of July if you want to watch it. If not, then don't. But I give it a 5 out of 10. But make sure you guys leave your thoughts. Did you watch A Quiet Place? Let me know what you think. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What do you think they could have done better? Um, and we'll see you next time on Jay's Flicks.